Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Let's start our video with a story from the chaotic world of customer service, where sometimes following the rules isn't just a suggestion, it's the law. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with a turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Karen doesn't want to follow enrollment procedure. Some many years ago, I worked customer service for a company that managed a Medicare Part D drug plan, and the annual enrollment period rolled around, and during that time, it got chaotic. On top of the usual caring for customers, answering their questions, fixing problems, we had to enroll people into our plans, and it was a bit of a process. There were questions that needed to be asked and answered, information that had to be imparted, and at the end of it all, a long spiel explaining our responsibilities and the customer's responsibilities and important information the customer had to verbally consent to. So in the midst of this, I get a woman who's angry she has to do this and is angry at how much time the whole process is taking. I explain to her I'm trying to get her through this all as quickly as possible. Then we get to the end, and I explain that I have read her the terms of service, and I need her to verbally confirm yes to it all. Immediately, she starts carrying on how she just doesn't have the time to listen to it. I tell her I'm legally required to read this to her. She doesn't want to hear it. Just sign her up. I explain again that to complete the sign-up process, I have to read this to her, and she needs to acknowledge it. Another round of she doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to agree to it, I can just skip it and sign her up. No, I can't. I can read through it quickly, however, she still needs to hear it and say yes. More arguing she doesn't want to, let's just say she agrees to it and I can sign her up. By this time I'm thinking, lady, if you'd just let me read this instead of arguing with me, we could have been done by now. Which I couldn't say. Instead, I inform her that I have to read this agreement to her and she needs to verbally agree to it. If she doesn't, I will not be able to sign her up for Medicare Part D. She will not have a Part D plan, she will not be able to enroll in a plan until the next year's enrollment period, and she'll have to pay a fine for not having a plan this year. She ignores all that, tells me to sign her up, and hangs up. Of course, I don't sign her up, and I write down the whole incident in the call log that I explained several times that I needed to go over the agreement and get her consent, the penalties to her if she didn't, that she refused, and that I did not sign her up. Several weeks after the new year, a coworker sitting near me gets a call from a woman who's furious that when she went to get a prescription filled, the pharmacy wasn't able to run the insurance on it, and when they checked that she didn't have a Part D drug plan. The coworker asked for the woman's name, which was the woman who I didn't sign up. My coworker checked and said the caller did not have a plan with us. Worse for the caller, we could not enroll her since she'd missed the enrollment period. Imagine how much easier things would have gone for everyone if that woman had just let me do my job and read the service agreement and she just said yes to it. Karens never listen. Seriously, it was a good thing that you left extensive notes in the system about the whole thing. Otherwise, she could try to say she wasn't told. Typical Karen behavior. And our second story. Karen didn't like the way my kid was playing at the park by himself. This happened earlier today at our local park after school with my 6-year-old. Recently, he's gotten really into the Pixar movie Onward and likes to act out scenes of the movie when he plays, so he was acting out a scene, minding his own business, having a blast on his own. Most days I play around with him, but today was an errands type of day, so I had some emails to respond to. I don't helicopter, but I do stay close by to hear and see him. Everything that was going on was within earshot of where I'd taken a seat for a few minutes. Again, he's playing alone, not bothering anyone, until I hear, "You can't do that." I look up and see my kid, unaware of the stranger correcting his play, notice the Karen standing with one arm on her hip, another waving her finger. For a second, I wasn't sure if she even meant my child, but quickly noticed her kid was having a blast on the swings, way away from where my son was playing. So I waited. She said it again. I get up to go over to them. I say, "Hi," my kid's name. "What are you doing?" He says to me, "I'm falling." He wasn't, again acting out a scene from his new fave movie. I just smiled and told him to be careful. Karen looks at me and promptly says to me, "He can't climb on the equipment like that." I told her he's fine. He's in no real trouble. I can see him. Karen, that's not how it's meant to be used. My child wants to play on this. Meanwhile, her child is twirling away on the tire swing, trying to avoid confrontation. I turn to my son and kindly ask him to get down so others can have their turn. He has a little fit, but moved on anyway. Karen mumbled something that I couldn't make out, went over to her own child and tried to hurry them off to where my son was just playing. Her child refused and just kept twirling away on swing because, it looked fun as hell. I told my son it was okay to go back to where he was since no one else was there. She obviously noticed, huffed, and quickly walked back to me, started berating me for letting him play on the climbing equipment. Karen, he cannot abuse the equipment like this. It's not fair to any of the other kids who want to play on this. I, calmly as possible, responded, if someone needs a turn, he'll get down. Karen, I live here and come to this park every day after school with my kids. You should find your own park where you live to take your kids. Me, you live here too. This is a public park. Karen, I'm here every day. I've never seen you or him here. Where do you live? Does even go to school at one of 2 elementary schools nearby? Me, that's none of your business where he goes to school. Karen, yeah, probably because you don't live in our town. Me, I'm not going to argue with you. My son can play here, and if yours wants to join, he can. Karen, oh, my child will not play over here with yours. You're both so rude, so inconsiderate, blah, blah, blah. She walked off all hissy over to where her kid was still twirling away. Thankfully, neither of our kids seemed to notice much about the commotion, but other moms at the park who'd heard it gave me the WTF was her problem look. She didn't say anything else, but I did notice her with her phone out in our direction, almost to make it seem like she was taking a picture of her child on the swing, but there were so many other angles she could have taken the pics. Bonus, my son had to use the bathroom, but I assume she thought we left because as we were washing our hands, she walked in and completely avoided eye contact. Sorry she had a bad day, but damn. I share your sentiment of wanting to be chill and commend you. Glad you stood your ground and didn't let Ole Miss get under your skin. And our next story. I overdressed for work. I, 24-year-old female, work in a high-end store and we have a very specific dress code. No jeans unless it's black, no leggings, no skirts above the knee, no spaghetti straps, no low-cut shirts, etc. I wore a black tank top with a brown knitted turtleneck, black jeans, black shoes, and black socks. My hair was in a nice bun as well. I wore this many times before and had no issues with it until the other day. I got pulled to the back by the ASM, assistant manager, and she told me that I need to dress better and look less homeless. The manager, being right beside her, said nothing, and when I tried to ask what she meant, the manager told me to listen to her. That night, I went online and found everything I needed. The next day, I went all around the local mall and shopped until I couldn't shop anymore. I got a blue dress, $20, white gloves, $5, fake pearl necklace and bracelet, $15, and I went to the drugstore to get bobby pins. I spent that night doing my hair until it was perfect. I ironed my dress, I cleaned and polished the pearls, and I practiced light makeup. Everything was perfect and ready. I woke up at 5:30 a.m. to be at work by 9. I did my hair, my makeup, my nails, and I got dressed. I took one final look in the mirror, and I was smiling like no tomorrow. I walked into work to see my manager and assistant manager angry at me while I'm smiling. I got instantly pulled into the back and they yelled at me. All I had to say was, I don't look homeless now, do I? I walked out and customers only wanted to talk to me because I looked fancy. It was a good day. I didn't take any of myself because I forgot. LOL, I was too excited, but for reference, look up beehive hair and Audrey Hepburn, the little black dress. I don't think the manager in ASM dressed especially different from your outfit, so I wonder where this suddenly came from. Your response made me laugh, so creative. I hope your stunt didn't get you labeled as a problematic employee and get you in trouble later. And our last story. Insane Karen, the Lord of my pool. I just have to share this story because I still can't wrap my head around what went down last week. It was somewhere between a nightmare and a comedy I never ordered. I'm 25, and just a couple of months ago, I moved into my dream house. It's this cozy little place with a huge backyard and an amazing pool with a hot tub. The pool, by the way, is my pride and joy. I bought the house from this sweet retired couple who were downsizing to a quiet senior community. They even gave me a discount because they liked me so much. My dad had just sold his small company to a certain fruity corporation for a good chunk of change, and he decided to share some of the profits with me so I could start fresh in my new home. Everything seemed perfect until about a week after I moved in. So one afternoon, after spending hours washing my car, I decided to take a dip in the pool. I'd just gotten in when suddenly, out of nowhere, 3 women appeared in my backyard, strolling around like they owned the place. Let's just call them the Karen crew. "What are you doing here?" Karen snapped, like I was some kind of trespasser. I was totally confused. This is my house." Karen wrinkled her nose and pursed her lips. "You're lying. You're a thief. This pool is ours. We've been swimming here for years, and you're probably just some Mexican who snuck in to take over our house." For context, my grandparents moved to the U.S. from India over 80 years ago. Sure, I've got some tan skin, but that's no reason to jump to conclusions. I tried to explain, "No, I actually bought this house." "Yeah, right, thief. You stole it. The pool is ours, and we're going to use it now." Karen yelled while her friends started chiming in with more nonsense about how I must have climbed over the fence to steal something. Honestly, I think they just wanted to enjoy my hot tub since I'd conveniently turned it on. By this point, I'd had enough and told them to get off my property. But guess what? Karen grabbed her phone and called the police, claiming an illegal immigrant had broken into her house and that they, the real owners, were trying to kick me out. Within minutes, the police showed up. I was standing on the porch, still dripping from the pool, completely baffled that this was actually happening. The officers approached Karen and her friends and tried to figure out what was going on. Karen wasted no time yelling at the cops. "She stole our house. This is our pool. We've been swimming here for years, and now some scumbag has taken over our home." I had my paperwork ready, proving I owned the place, and the officers started checking it out, but Karen? Oh no, she wasn't done. She started screaming at the officers, accusing them of supporting thieves, and of course blaming the system for letting corporations get richer. And then the real show began. When one of the officers told her to calm down and be quiet, Karen snapped. She pulled a pair of underwear out of her bag and hurled them right at the officer's face. He had to warn her several times before she completely lost it. When she started flailing around and trying to grab something, the officer pulled out his pepper spray and gave her a good blast right in the face. She shrieked even louder, collapsed to the ground, and started wailing like a pterodactyl. Finally, the police cuffed her. The other 2 women backed off instantly, acting like they had no part in what just happened. The officers checked my documents, apologized for the trouble, and that was that. Karen ended up getting arrested for assaulting an officer and disturbing the peace. And you'd think that would be the end of it. But nope, I still occasionally spot her friends in the neighborhood, but they steer clear of my house now, not even daring to peek into my yard. So if you think people like Karen only exist in memes, trust me, they're real. And it could happen to anyone. Hey, at least you now know that pepper spray really works on Karen. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.